a real possibility that Joe Burrow has played his last down this season for the Bengals.
So now it sounds like the Cleveland Browns are going to all but imprison Shedeur Sanders in the football sense of a very talented rookie quarterback who obviously needs reps, needs an opportunity, and who now, barring some miraculous luck, will not get the opportunity to play in a single real game. I'm sure many around the NFL are celebrating as we
Joe Burrow's lengthy 3-month recuperation has kept him out of action, so Cincinnati may make the most shocking move of the year. Meet Shedeur Sanders, the rookie sensation from Cleveland. As a backup, Jake Browning has kept his ground, but let's face it, the AFC North would completely change if Sanders were included. Consider the Bengals adding Shedeur and Burrow to the same roster. It goes beyond depth. That is nothing but anarchy in black and orange. The Cleveland Browns, meanwhile, appear to be burning like a house with no one playing. One rumor is all that is required. The Bengals, Shedeur Sanders. Then, as if they had just learned that their team had moved, Cleveland supporters are immediately gripping their nachos. The panic is insane. There is a lot of fear. And the competitors are yelling with laughter right now.
I'm the biggest Shedeur fan in the world. There's nothing he can do Friday to win the job to start against the Bengals. Let's get that out of the way right now. What Shedeur can do is he can change the narrative. The narrative is the Browns don't see him as a franchise quarterback. They would have drafted him in the first round if they did. They drafted Dylan Gabriel over him. So what he has to do Friday night is to change their...
As if it were the biggest daytime scandal since someone flipped over a reality TV reunion table, the media is going crazy over this. Additionally, you can almost hear Brown supporters muttering, "Not again," because every headline seems like a punchline to them. With popcorn in hand, rival teams are watching this disaster like a comedy special, hoping to see whether the Browns fall apart before the season even gets underway. Cleveland can start a fire without gasoline. Rumors have already been converted into a 5-alarm fire, and the entire AFC North had better get ready for a storm if she even suggests sliding in Cincinnati's direction. Bless their tormented souls. The Browns have made quarterback controversy into a yearly soap opera. The same rerun occurs every year. Who's going first? Who is hurt? Who has been suspended? And who will be the next unfortunate person to crash and burn? Cleveland would receive more than a plaque if quarterback chaos were inducted into the Hall of Fame. They would receive a whole museum wing dedicated to revolving displays of failure. Therefore, it feels like salt on an open wound to think about Shedeur Sanders packing his bags and moving to Cincinnati, not Cleveland, in the AFC North. Brown supporters can't eat their nachos without glancing over their shoulder, frightened that while their own team is still attempting to tie its cleats, the Bengals might be establishing a dynasty over the river. This is the most crucial aspect, though. Football isn't even relevant anymore. This is about the tangled history of what it means to wear orange and brown, as well as pride and disgrace. Cleveland is pleading for a quarterback who won't collapse before Week 6, while other teams hope for Super Bowls. As a result, Browns Nation responds as though someone had informed them that their ex fled with a billionaire when the name Shedeur Sanders begins to circulate in the rumor mill. An incredible outburst combining anger, incredulity, and frantic denial. Watching it is nearly too interesting. Nearly. Shedeur is more than just a college student with a stellar stat sheet, let's face it. This man exudes confidence, weight, and a name that when spoken sends shockwaves across locker rooms. That is what I swear to you.
And what you went through tonight, watching tonight, does it make it almost more meaningful than just a football game?
I'm not gonna say meaningful. We've already spoken like 3 times a day. We just got off the phone joking and clowning like crazy. But he's so prepared right now. A lot of people are approaching it like a preseason game. He's approaching like a game. And that's how he's always approached everything, to prepare and to approach it like this is it. I just can't wait to see him get down tonight. But it's going to be a little weird. It's going to be a little strange. It's going to be a problem after tonight, though. I promise you that.
We are discussing the crown prince of Deion Sanders' empire. Shedeur has the stats, the attitude, and that unique marketability that makes NFL owners salivate. He's doing more than just throwing touchdowns. He's throwing himself right into the major plot of the league. Scouts lean forward in their chairs each time he enters a field. Competing franchises begin to panic as Brands blows up his agent's phone. Shedeur isn't the kind to fit in with the scenery, so Cleveland's terror is, well, epic. Rivalries are something he rewrites. Imagine this. Joe Burrow pulls him aside his Bengals stripes, and he slings flawless passes to Jamar Chase, saying, "This is how you own an entire division." Just that picture is enough to give Browns supporters uncontrollable nightmares. Let's talk about reality, though. The so-called golden ticket for the Browns, Deshaun Watson, hasn't exactly made a fortune. A deal so inflated that it resembles a ransom note rather than an investment, injuries and weak play. Their future is locked up. One man's wealth and half the city's patience. And what are they able to demonstrate? A highlight reel so brief that it might be shared as a prank on TikTok.
Going into the final week, I don't know, it's weird, like, consider training camp still? Well, I would just say preseason. Because on the film breakdown, I don't say training camp, say preseason. All right, so final week of preseason. It's a lot because I know it's a lot of relationships with a lot of guys in the building and a lot of guys in the locker room that we all may never play on the same team.
To Cleveland Sports Talk Radio last night, and they were saying some things that I think was straight up out of pocket.
Fans of the Browns were promised a franchise comeback, but instead they are seeing every competitor take center stage. With Lamar Jackson, Baltimore is cruising and transforming games into track meetings. Cincinnati may now get Shedeur for their next performance. Cleveland's was left with receipts for unfulfilled promises. Even though Pittsburgh is still rebuilding, at least they have a plan. Golden Boy quarterback Joe Burrow of Cincinnati grins like a football deity each time he steps onto the field. Imagine them now guiding Shedeur Sanders into the same changing area. Cleveland's problems wouldn't end there. They would require an on-call therapist. Brown supporters are unable to escape that horror. You see, the Bengals' ultimate flex would be to choose Shedeur, an opulent insurance policy adorned with stripes. There has always been doubt about Burrow's health. Additionally, Cincinnati supporters' breath stops each time he limps. What would happen, though, if the Bengals decided to stop playing with fate? After selecting Shedeur and hiding him behind Burrow, the quarterback room appears to be a Marvel superhero crossover. Cleveland would thus require outright divine intervention rather than merely prayer. And the fans? Ooh, they sense it deeply. That medication has been eaten by them. Losing to Burrow alone, it's unpleasant but inevitable, much like taxes or terrible weather. But losing to Shedeur and Burrow would be like being dunked twice on the same highlight reel. It is degrading, demeaning, and unforgivable.
Injury that will require surgery. He will be sidelined for a minimum of 3 months. Typically, this is a 12 to 14-week recovery period from an injury like that. That would mean that if it was best case, the soonest he could be ready, as much as he might push, would be December 15th, and it very well could be into the new year before he's ready again. Let's see if the Bengals and Jake Browning, their new quarterback, can keep them afloat until then.
Everyone is already making fun of the Browns fans. However, this rumor is giving opposing fans new ammunition for their meme arsenal. It's salivating on social media. Sports programs are making money. Cleveland, meanwhile, is trapped in their sorrows as ESPN uses its suffering as prime time material. The best part is that nobody gives a damn if this story is true. Cleveland is the clown show, and chaos is the headline. Facts don't matter to the media. All they want to do is feed the beast. All headlines are suddenly calling for Shedeur to move to Cincinnati, as if the ink had already dried. Debate shows are promoting it as fact. The fan forums are ablaze. Additionally, the internet is disintegrating. According to half of the crowd, it's smoke. According to the other half, the fire is already raging. Regardless of your stance, Cleveland appears to be witnessing its house fall apart in slow motion from the front row.
Rumors are flying that Shedeur Sanders could be on the move to the Cincinnati Bengals. Imagine with Joe Burrow out, Shedeur Sanders can finally get a chance to start. Shedeur trade rumors are getting some real traction with all these quarterbacks getting injured. But the main particular one, the Cincinnati Bengals, after Joe Burrow done injured his toe and being out for at least 3 months, this could be a real possibility. Hey, Money Man, so what could that trade look like? Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow has a toe injury that will keep him out at least 3 months. It is yet another unfortunate injury setback for one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Without Burrow, the Bengals would likely...
The twisted beauty of it all is shown here. There was already conflict in the AFC North. In the NFL's most competitive division, 4 teams compete for bragging rights by trading blows every week. Imagine throwing Shedeur Sanders into that carnage now. Shedeur is putting himself to the test against that hateful Steelers defense in Shedeur versus Deshaun and Shedeur versus Lamar. Except for Cleveland entering the ring with one arm tied behind its back, every Sunday felt like a heavyweight title fight. But for the sake of a reality check, let's apply the brakes for a moment. Joe Burrow was already locked up by the Bengals, and unless something goes wrong, he will be their man for the ensuing 10 years. It would be a luxury rather than a need to draft Shedeur. A luxury dripping with mayhem. His offense isn't the only thing Cincinnati loves. They revere it. They genuinely love watching Cleveland fall apart over things that might not even happen. And they appreciate youthful talent. It goes beyond simple football tactics. It's the best kind of psychological warfare. And without a single snap being played, the Browns are currently losing that war. The crazy aspect is that Shedeur can send shockwaves without even snapping once. Just one whisper in the news, one rumor. Cleveland also burns like a campfire made of dry wood. The Browns are afraid of losing hope in general, not just of losing games. And everything they want but can't seem to understand is embodied by Shedeur Sanders. The future, promise, and swagger. If Cincinnati manages to acquire him, Cleveland will once more find itself up against the glass ceiling of achievement.
Yo, look, I'm sick and tired of seeing how the Cleveland Browns and the NFL is treating Shedeur Sanders. This right here got me hotter than fish grease. This got me hotter than Texas on an August noon when it's 111 degrees. This right here is bull dookie. I'm trying not to curse. I'm trying to stay kid friendly. But this is crazy. Bro, not even running practice squad.
Seeing, salivating, and being aware that they are unable to succeed. Additionally, the fans are a show unto themselves. Like lifeboats, some people are clinging to denial and murmuring, "It'll never happen." Some believe that the cosmos has conspired against them. People are already furiously posting on message boards demanding trades like they're in a fantasy league, pleading for miracle draft selections and demanding new management. It's similar to witnessing a meltdown on reality TV. This one is the only one with beer foam and face paint on it. To appreciate the drama, you don't even need the games. The true entertainment is the mayhem off the field. Here's the reality though. Shedeur Sanders has genuine possibilities, and Cleveland is frightened by that alone. With Deshaun, they're facing financial ruin, and they're picturing the NFL's next big star wearing Bengal stripes rather than brown and orange. The idea of becoming irrelevant in a division already full of stars is the biggest fear in Browns country. Here we are, with Cleveland engulfed in flames, the media making jokes, and the rumor mill at full tilt. Will Shedeur Sanders truly make it to Cincinnati?
Minimum of 3 months. The Bengals already have been calling around to add another quarterback. That's from a depth standpoint. But the fact of the matter is Jake Browning will be the guy. He is expected to be the guy. And Joe Burrow has taken so much punishment there in Cincinnati from the time that he arrived there in 2020. You put up the pass rush win rate right there, where the Bengals have ranked in the league, and you see those numbers. That is rough for a quarterback to absorb all those hits, all those years. And you wonder what type of cumulative effect it will have on Joe Burrow physically and mentally moving forward. So we'll keep an eye on that as that unfolds.
Perhaps not. However, it really doesn't make a difference. A fan base that was on the verge of disintegrating has already been fueled by the suggestion alone. And one thing is certain, whether the move is made or not, it's going to get louder, messier, and plain funnier than ever in the AFC North. Cleveland will be finished if Shedeur ends up in Cincinnati. The game is over. If he doesn't, opposition supporters will already find the commotion and terror to be worth every moment. Given that the Flames aren't going out anytime soon, Browns Nation might as well get fire extinguishers in bulk. And this is the harsh reality. For so long, Cleveland has been trapped in a nightmare cycle that almost seems like they are dependent on the mayhem. They make the same vacuous promises every offseason. The quarterback controversy has been resolved for this season. The defense is set for this year. The ghosts of the past have vanished this year. However, the same terrible replay occurs each time the calendar turns. And just when Brown supporters believe that the QB circus couldn't get much worse, Shedeur Sanders shows up as a rumor spreading through hostile territory, not as their rescuer. They didn't anticipate the turn of events. Furthermore, it's more devastating than any defeat on the field could ever be. Imagine the draft table for the Bengals. Executives are drinking water like it's old-fashioned champagne while sitting back with smug smiles on their faces. Then, just to see Cleveland's blood pressure soar, they write Shedeur Sanders' name on the card with the most careless pen stroke. Furthermore, they wouldn't even require his playing. The Browns fans would be haunted for the entire season if Shedeur was allowed to stand on the sidelines in stripes with a clipboard.
Shedeur, for the very first time, the Browns have national media talking in a positive light about this starting QB. And that is something that is unparalleled. Something you've never seen in Cleveland since you've been a fan here. Yes or no?
I mean, it's been a while, no doubt. When Joe Flacco went on the run and you made the playoffs, that was something that nobody saw coming.
That short-lived type, you could argue Baker.
Yes. For Cleveland, losing football games isn't the only thing at stake. It has to do with losing the plot. Additionally, Shedeur embodies the type of innovative, captivating story that the Browns have been pursuing for decades without ever succeeding. Cleveland wishes it could be, and the Bengals are living evidence of that. After acquiring Joe Burrow, Cincinnati transformed him into the face of the team and immediately became relevant. The Browns, on the other hand, snatch quarterbacks, eat them up, spit them out, and then march right into meme territory. It's a harsh contrast. Stars are drafted by Cincy and bloom like pyrotechnics. Stars that are drafted by Cleveland fade away like unappealing soda. For Browns Nation, the idea of the Bengals doubling down with both Burrow and Shedeur is not only horrifying, but downright offensive. When you're still searching under your vehicle seat for change to pay off a parking ticket, it's like your neighbor winning the lotto twice in a row. The horrible twist comes next. Cincinnati wouldn't even need to make an effort. They have created a locker room, a culture, and an identity that Shedeur would fit right in with. Cleveland, however, would be in disarray from the start. He would park media vans outside his home. For a single practice throw, fans would either burn him at the stake or declare him king. And let's face it, if Shedeur ever made it to the Browns, they would most likely find a way to damage him because of their infamous history of consuming quarterbacks and then spitting them out. The cruelest twist of all is that everyone is aware that he has the luxury of avoiding Cleveland entirely. Therefore, Brown supporters see rumors that he would truly consider Cincinnati as more than just a possibility. They see it as fate, taunting them once more.
I was having some problems and trying to figure out why we were not giving this kid the reps or some reps. I know we have a lot of quarterbacks on this football team, but to give all those guys reps and not give this kid any reps, I'm like, what the hell are we doing over there? What's going on? And then think about it. We pretty much just threw him into the fire without any reps or anything like that. I mean, and look how this kid responds. And he's not going against the scrubs out there. No. He's going against their first defense.
Consider it. They began by witnessing LeBron skip town twice. Then, right in their face, Joe Burrow opened his store next door and became a household name. The possibility of Shedeur Sanders donning Bengals stripes is now present. That is only Cleveland being reminded of who is in charge by the football gods laughing in their direction. And the fan reactions, which range from heartbreaking to amusing, are invaluable. Some people stick to outright denial, claiming that the Bengals would never dare. Others, certain that this rumor signals the beginning of yet another heartbreaking, decade-long stretch of irrelevance, are already hoarding canned goods as if it were the end of the world. The vocal minority then accuses Shedeur of being the one responsible, acting as though a college quarterback is planning to spoil their Sundays while lounging in his dorm room. You almost feel terrible for them because of how extreme and unfiltered their desperation is. Nearly.
I don't know where to start, but let's talk about it. So now the conversation is why Shedeur didn't want to get drafted to Baltimore. Bro, y'all can't be serious, bro. Y'all really cannot be serious. All right, so let's talk about it. So I guess the Baltimore Ravens were going to draft Shedeur in the 5th round, right? They're going to draft him in the 5th round. And Shedeur just told him straight up, like, look, Lamar Jackson is a 2-time MVP. You know, this, that, and that. I don't have a shot at playing in Baltimore. I don't have a shot.
Here's the thing, though. All of this is based on a whisper, a what if, and a rumor. Shedeur hasn't made any commitments, signed any contracts, or even alluded to Cincinnati. Cleveland is already acting as though the funeral programs have been produced, the caskets have been closed, and the deal is official. That is Cleveland's tragedy. Reality is not even necessary to shatter the franchise's brittleness. It only takes a whisper, a rumor, or pure speculation to drive the whole fan base insane. The harm is already done, whether Shedeur Sanders ever dons a Bengals jersey or not, which is what makes this story so ideal. Chaos sparked by rumors is raging in Cleveland. Cincinnati, on the other side of the river, is grinning. The rest of the AFC North is watching the meltdown with buckets of popcorn, as if it were must-see television. The Browns would have become millionaires by now if chaos were money. Here's the catch, though. Cleveland has demonstrated for decades that chaos does not win Super Bowls. I'd like to talk to you. Does Shedeur Cincinnati seem like a viable option, or is this just another case of fate taunting Brown supporters? Leave a comment with your ideas. Share this video with a friend, hit the like button, and subscribe for more. Naturally, I'll see you at the next